UK Foreign Secretary Jeremy Hunt met with President Trump as part of his visit to Great Britain, and our Wilfred sat down with the man, the secretary, to get his take on that meeting. How did it go, Wilfred?
Hey, Sarah, yes, indeed. UK Foreign Secretary Jeremy Hunt, of course, took over from Boris Johnson, who is a friend of the president's. Therefore, I asked him how that initial introduction to the president went.
It went pretty well. He said, he was kind enough to say he'd heard nice things about me, so I've got something to live up to. Boris Johnson was a great patriot and a great believer in what it is possible for Britain to do on the world stage, and I am exactly the same. I am passionate about a Britain that is strong and confident and really stands for the values that Britain and America stand for.
Do you regret the expected level of protest against the president for his time here in the United Kingdom? Will that make it harder for you to impress on him the messages you want to get across?
Not at all, because what brings Britain and America together is that we are the strongest believers in the world in democracy and democratic values. And yes, we have lots of leaders who visit London from countries that aren't democracies, and we have to explain to them, yes, we do allow these protests. Yes, there will be people waving flags that you don't like, but we won't have to explain that to President Trump because he understands why that happens, and those are his values as well.
How hopeful are you that you can convince the president that once the UK is out of the EU, to exclude you from the tariffs that he's currently imposing on the European Union?
Well, I'm very confident that we'll be able to get to that position because we share so many values with the United States. Alongside the United States, we have been the country that has championed free trade across the world more than any. But we do understand the President's view that free trade has to be fair trade, and it has to be on the basis of deals that work for ordinary Americans, and sometimes you need to reset the dial. And so he can be very confident that when it comes to the United Kingdom, what we want is fair competition and borders that are as open as possible when it comes to buying and selling each other's products.
Very supportive tone there from the UK Foreign Secretary Jeremy Hunt. Now, London tomorrow expected to be the epicenter of the protests against the president, and we will speak to the mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, perhaps to get a slightly different perspective from the one we just got from the Foreign Secretary. Guys?
What's the main protest, Wilfred, about with President Trump? I mean, there are a number of specific issues where the president has interjected in British politics or Brexit or terrorism, or even retweeted one of the far-right British First parties, I remember, which offended a lot of people. Or is it more his values and his policies in the U.S.?
It's a very good question, and I think, a minor one is when any foreign leader starts to get involved in domestic politics. That's always rubs individuals up the wrong way. But ultimately, it is some of those divisive policies, whether they are domestic in the US or whether they influence the rest of the world. And do you know what? Immigration is just a great example of that. Earlier today, the president says he thinks people in the UK like his policies on immigration, and probably a big chunk of them do. But it's also a very polarizing area, and it is a policy that a lot of other people really detest. And I think things are very polarized here, whether we're talking about Brexit or President Trump or immigration itself. Things are polarized, and we will get both ends of the spectrum tomorrow.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.